Chapter 17 is a chapter of many rivers and mountains that restrict your movement options. I discover for the first time that Myrrh actually counts as a flying unit, having never used her in a playthrough before. I have Ross solo the left side, as the left side is very lance heavy between Cavaliers, Paladins, and Wyvern Riders. I send the rest of my army straight down the center. I need to protect the recruitable Pegasus Knight, however I haven't deployed Innis or Tana, so I can't recruit her until the end of the chapter. Myrrh is having absolutely zero issues soloing many enemies, however I need to be conservative. She entered the chapter with only 28 uses of her Dragonstone remaining. Having never used the unit in a casual playthrough, I'm blown away by how incredibly high her defenses are. Myrrh has around 35 in both defenses, so she's more or less immortal for as long as her Dragonstone lasts. While I understand that Myrrh has issues with her availability and scarcity, I'm kind of surprised now that I'm finally using her that this unit was sort of universally regarded as a mid-low tier in all the tier lists I've researched. I really thought she'd be appropriate for the challenge, but she's very, very powerful. I'm worried about the 3 druids that threaten the recruitable unit Syrene. I send both a Phantom and Neimi to help draw her back from the combat. While I can't recruit Syrene until the end of the chapter, I can do a unit evaluation to say whether we'll be using her in this challenge or not. Syrene is the last recruitable unit to join in Sacred Stones. I've spent the entire playthrough gassing up flyers as strong units, but Syrene doesn't fit the bill. Her base stats are seriously low considering we're recruiting her post Chapter 17, and she's generally considered to be a very weak unit since just about anyone you've been training all game will vastly eclipse her in combat potential. The only thing she has going for her is her high movement range in A rank and lances. Since Syrene is easily low tier, we finally get to add a proper flyer to our army, which can be helpful as a taxi for our other units, if nothing else. If you manage to save all of the civilians in this chapter, you get a rescue staff. I don't particularly need it, but I'll try to get it. However, it's kind of annoying. You have to be very diligent regarding the Wyvern Rider reinforcements on the left. It's easy to get distracted and not realize how far they can fly over the river. The main difficulty of this chapter mostly comes from the reinforcements. You have to deal with Cavaliers from the left forts, Wyverns from the upper left mountains, and a constant stream of druids from around the boss, and eventually, warriors start spawning from the bottom right as well. You're constantly kept busy on multiple fronts while trying to advance on the boss. Thanks to her unique weapon upgrade, Eirika can now one-round just about any enemy she can double. This is a pretty substantial upgrade, considering how much she had fallen off at the mid-game. I'm having Ewan duel the anima mages because he has weapon triangle advantage and extremely high res. Ewan would probably duel the druid reinforcements very well, however, he wouldn't deal very much damage and I'm not going to bother giving him his own Lunatome because it's very heavy and very inaccurate. These 2 Valkyries that Ross is fighting on the left are supremely annoying. They have extremely high avoid and I get ridiculously unlucky in my attempts to kill them over and over again. Also, they're so surprisingly fast that Ross can't double them while using a hand axe. I wasn't paying enough attention by this point. I was so convinced that everything on the left side of the map would attack Ross that I allowed myself to get complacent and finish off one of the Valkyries. I should have taken out the Wyvern Rider behind her because I've exposed the villagers within the range of that Wyvern. I'm at the point of the game where my highest speed units can very reliably use dodge tanking strategies to take on multiple enemies at once. If I put Neimi on the forest, her 24 speed gives her enough avoid to make it that they'll never hit her with a Lunatome. Most of the druids use a Flux or a Nosferatu, which do have 20 more accuracy than Luna, however, their resultant hit rate is around 16%, and given the GBA's true hit, the actual chance she gets hit is in the single digits. While relying on dodges can be an inexperienced or reckless strat, in situations like this it has an over 99% chance of succeeding, so I've got no issue with it. I've even been using Ross as a dodge tank all chapter as well. Those lance-wielding enemies have had pretty much no chance of hitting him as long as he has an axe equipped. Ross is getting 40 points of avoid from his speed stat, 25 more points of avoid from his extremely high luck stat, and the enemy's steel lances have an unimpressive 70% hit rate that gets further reduced by the weapon triangle. Between Ross soloing the left side and Myrrh soloing the heroes on the bottom, we're blowing through this chapter with relative ease. I've reached a point where my units are starting to become kind of powerful. A lot of my units are considered to be low tier because they start weak and it's not worth training all of them up so heavily, but units like Neimi have really hit their stride by this point. Her offensive growths are actually kind of high, it's just that it's not really worth the bother most of the time. I still don't think Neimi is good because of the opportunity cost of training her so heavily compared to other units in the early game like Vanessa and Franz, however, I will admit she improves dramatically once given a horse and a sword. And since mine is a bit blessed in the defense department as well as having strong offenses, she's actually pretty fun to use at this point of the game. She's less fragile than I expected. She really needs a Seraph robe though, and we did give her one. She's kind of a pain in the ass to use without it. I've brought Myrrh to deal with the boss because I don't have Ross over here and I don't know how much damage Eirika can do. I'm not going to have very many uses left on the Dragonstone, so I'm going to have to bench Myrrh for a couple chapters after and have her sit out for a little while. I'm happy with how units like Eirika and Neimi have come along, but I'm really unimpressed with Amelia. I'm thinking of giving the Vidofnir to Gilliam after all, and that's going to leave Amelia pretty incapable of really killing anything in the late game. I might have to give it to her out of pity since Gilliam has enough strength to kill without it. Eirika's weapon lets her kill despite low strength, and units like Marisa can at least fish for critical hits, but I mean, Amelia's really got almost nothing going for her. She can't consistently double, and she only has 13 strength, even though she's a general that's gained several levels by now. And other units with slightly questionable strength, like Marisa and Neimi, are going to have uncontested access to S-rank weapons that only they will have a high enough weapon rank to use. Amelia has to contest the S-rank lance with Gilliam. Combined with the fact that she only has 5 movement range, she easily feels like one of the most useless people in my army right now. And I have people like Colm in my army. Colm has 10 strength, yet still has better offenses than Amelia somehow because of the support of Neimi and his ability to consistently double. All Amelia really has is her defense stat. I use these last couple enemies to cap out Myrrh's level. She needs around, I believe, 38 or 39 hit points for the late game because Draco Zombies deal set points of damage. I think they deal 37 with their breath, but I'm not really sure. Either way, at 40 HP, we're well above that threshold. Also, I lied about Colm. He has 9 strength, and this is when he gains 10. I've had this man for 14 chapters and he finally just broke double-digit strength, and he's still somehow been useful here and there for pretty much the whole game. I have Colm and Neimi grab just a little bit of extra experience, but I am going to be ending the chapter this turn. Myrrh can double the boss, so she's going to explode him. Myrrh is so powerful that I don't know if I can still consider her low tier like I did before starting this challenge. Regardless, that's all I have for you today, so I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.